Go big. That's what a bipartisan group of 100 House members is telling the Supercommittee to do. In a short letter to the Deficit Committee, the members asked all options on the table. We have one of the authors of the letter here joining us now, Congressman Jim Himes. He's a Democrat from Connecticut and a member of the Financial Services Committee. And the stuff, Congressman, that has leaked out, I don't know whether it's leaking really, but in the last couple of days was just depressing, was it not?
Yeah, well, you know, we've got 100 signatures on this letter, so I don't think it's particularly a leak anymore.
Not your letter. You saw that you saw the Democratic proposal and you saw what the Republicans want to do, right? That leaked out?
Yeah, sure, but
that was depressing, was it not?
Well, I would disagree with that. Look, you now have a proposal and a counter-proposal. What's key to a negotiation? A proposal and a counter-proposal, and we haven't seen that yet. So I take that as a step forward.
But they're so far apart, right? During the debt ceiling debate, what supposedly broke that down was when the president, we were at $800 billion in tax increases, remember? And then he supposedly wanted $400 billion more. The first offer from the Democrats was $1.5 trillion in new taxes. That is so dead on arrival with the Republicans, Congressman. You know that. And then their proposal, the Republicans' proposal, they're basic. What did they say? $40 billion? So we're between $40 billion and $1.5 trillion. That's not depressing?
Hey, this is the way negotiations work, especially on Capitol Hill. People stake out their positions. The initial stake out of their position is usually designed to credentialize them with their base. The point is that these guys are talking and they're negotiating. It is better to have things that you would characterize as depressing than to have nothing at all. Because if you got,
I want them to go big, too. I think that would be phenomenal. And both sides, you know, you got some great guys there.
Big on cuts is what you're saying.
To go big on cuts, but even I'm ready to do so. If you do big on cuts, do some stuff on revenue if you have to. Do Simpson Bowles type stuff. I think Rob Portman might be ready to do something like that. But
yeah, absolutely. Look, I'll tell you what. I've been in the last 6 months in any number of small dinners and lunches where when the cameras aren't rolling, the Republicans will say, look, we know revenue needs to be part of this. And the Democrats will say, we know that an equitable and fair reform of Social Security and Medicare needs to happen. The question is, how do you get people to sign on to that publicly, you know, feel like they're encouraged enough or have enough courage to stand up to the activist wing of their party and actually make it happen. And that was the idea behind this letter. And this letter, you know, I don't know where the numbers are exactly now, but let's call it, you know, 40-plus Republicans and 50 Democrats saying, go big, everything on the table, including the words revenue and entitlements. That's a pretty significant wave, and we'll, you know, hopefully this is going to steal the spine of some of my colleagues.
But aren't we back to the same problem we had in August, which is that there is a wing of the Republican Party that will not abide any increase in revenue?
Wait a minute. I love the way you do that, though. You go back to the problem, which was a wing of the Republican Party. There was also, the president went in and got an earful on 2 different occasions from Pelosi and the wing of his party and went back for another $400 billion. We could have done
I may have this totally wrong, Joe, but I see Democrats much more willing to compromise on entitlements than Republicans are on taxes. Am I wrong about that? Republicans are as willing. Maybe I'm wrong. I can have this wrong.
I think you're.
That's fine. Let Congressman Himes answer.
Pelosi that nothing.
I think the Democrats are ready to and have been willing to compromise on entitlements.
You can gang up on me now.
Look at what the leaders have said. Pelosi has said she wants something big and balanced. You know, if you use the word big, you're acknowledging that entitlements are on the table. The president himself acknowledged that Medicare and Social Security were on the table.
He couldn't have delivered, though, Congressman. On that one, a lot of people
thought he could not.
I agree with you. I disagree with that. You haven't, look, we're talking about rhetoric here because until a deal is done, a deal's not done. But the rhetoric on the Democratic side has said we would be willing, from the president and from Pelosi, to talk about entitlements, whereas you've never heard a leader on the Republican side say we will tolerate revenues, despite the fact that pretty much any economist worth his or her salt on this planet.
Was at $800 billion, right?
Well, Paul Ryan said when I was moderating a conference that he said, show me the bill, is what he said. And I think what he means by that, and I acknowledge what Joe's saying here, the president should have proposed it, was that it's not been part of any proposal that's been out there. So the Democrats, I think, need to step forward and propose that. But what I was talking about, Joe, and I mean this, a wing of the Republican Party that ideologically will not. It looks like they would be burned at the stake before they would allow taxes to rise.
You've got the same wing that doesn't want to do anything with either Social Security or Medicare.
You think they're equal ideological counterparts?
You've got a question for Congress.
Proton and electron.
This is a good one. Grasso has one.
Congressman, two observations. Why not take the letter and take the broad base of support behind that letter, turn it into a bill, and put it on the front page of the New York Times? And secondly, why not advocate a 3 times and you're out, meaning 3 years without a budget, which is one of the fundamental reasons we send people to Washington, and we won't pay legislative salaries?
Dick, the issue on the policy around how we get this done is not an issue. We've had Simpson-Bowles, we've had Gang of Six, we've had Rivlin-Domenici. The plans are out there, and you know what? Given a couple of days, you could adjust these plans in a way that probably could find a majority. So this is not a policy issue. We know what this $4 trillion deal looks like. The issue is political courage on both sides to stand up and get in the face of your activist wing.
With all due respect, Congressman, why not take the substance of those, the best of all of those plans, take your group of 100 and turn it into a bill and put it on the floor of the House?
Look, that's exactly what needs to happen from here, and that's exactly what we're urging the Supercommittee to do. Look, what we have been doing has been about trying to generate some political courage, not to decide whether, mortgage interest tax deduction should be capped at $1 million or at $500,000. That's the Supercommittee's job. What we need to do, remember, if the Supercommittee produces legislation that does not pass either house, it doesn't matter. So this is really an exercise in giving people the courage to do what everybody knows we need to do.
You've got 100 members, Congressman. The Supercommittee has been engineered to fail. Take those 100 members, put a bill on the floor, and let the American people see it.
Yeah, look, the Supercommittee is not engineered to fail. All you need to look at is what the impact of those sequestrations are, the cuts to defense and the cuts to Medicare, and you will know that this is not a committee that is engineered to fail. It may fail, by the way, but it's not engineered to fail.